There's a man I want you to picture. He's not famous. He's not rich. He doesn't have a podcast or a following or philosophy he can name. But when something breaks, he doesn't flinch. That stillness, that quiet shift in his face, that is what this video is about. Because I've noticed something. Two men can face the exact same broken thing. A dead engine, a collapsed plan, a situation that refuses to cooperate, and they respond in completely opposite ways. One pulls out his phone. The other rolls up his sleeves. And the difference between those two men was not decided in that moment. It was decided years earlier, in a garage or a workshop or a driveway, the first time someone handed them a tool instead of an answer and waited. Here's what nobody tells you about working with your hands. It doesn't just teach you to fix things. It rewires how your brain processes difficulty itself. There's a field of research called embodied cognition. The idea is simple, but it changes everything. Some knowledge cannot live in words. It lives in your hands, in your fingertips, in the specific memory of a bolt that was too tight, a sound that was slightly wrong, a vibration that told you, before you could explain why, that something was about to fail. Ask a man with that skill how he knew. He'll pause. He'll say it just felt off. He's not being vague. He's being precise. The knowledge exists below language, built through failure, patience, and the particular silence that follows when something finally works. That silence is not nothing. That silence is the moment a man learns to trust himself. And here's where it gets interesting. Men who build that trust, through physical reality, through consequences that are real and immediate and honest, they carry something into every other room of their life. They become unusually patient with slow processes. They become unusually skeptical of fast promises. They grow suspicious of people who speak with great confidence about things they've never physically touched. Not because they're arrogant, because they've been there. They've seen the expert be wrong. They've seen the manual not account for the specific, muddy, inconvenient reality in front of them. That skepticism isn't a personality flaw. It's an epistemology earned in the gap between what someone told them and what was actually true. But here's the part that cuts deepest. Most of this wasn't learned alone. It was learned in the presence of someone. A father. An older man who said almost nothing but handed over a tool and waited. A mentor who showed instead of explained. No curriculum, no lesson plan. What was being passed down wasn't technical information. It was a relationship to difficulty. A way of being with a problem that doesn't involve walking away from it. And when a skill is learned through a relationship, it carries emotional weight that no tutorial, no algorithm, no YouTube video can replicate. The first real problem a man solved with his own hands is remembered with biographical specificity. Not because of the problem, because of who was there. Because of what it meant. Now, think about what we've handed the current generation. A digital world, infinite information, frictionless access to everything, except the one thing that actually builds psychological stability. Physical difficulty. Patient effort. A problem that surrenders to their own hands. Right now, more than 3 in 4 young men struggling mentally say they don't want to talk about it. They don't think help is available. They are more isolated than any generation before them, not because they're weaker, but because nobody handed them a tool and waited. Nobody gave them a problem with real feedback. Because here's what working on something real gives a man that nothing else does. The feedback is absolute. Did the meeting go well? Hard to say. Was the decision right? Depends who you ask, but something that wasn't working. And now is not a matter of interpretation. That clarity isn't just satisfying. For a man drowning in a week of ambiguous outcomes and subjective evaluations, it's stabilizing. This is why a man who is overwhelmed doesn't always talk about it. He finds a bounded problem. He goes to work. He rebuilds, in miniature, the experience of competence that the week tried to take from him. What looks like avoidance is actually restoration. So the question is never really about the machine. The question is, have you built any space in your life where the feedback is honest, where effort has a direct and real consequence, where you are the one responsible for the outcome? Because the men who have that, whether they found it in a garage, on a field, in a kitchen, in a workshop, anywhere the world gives a clear answer, those men carry something that cannot be taught in a lecture, a quiet refusal to collapse, a deeply encoded belief that if they stay with it long enough, it will give way. That belief was never about the machine. It was always about the man they decided to become.